Fat Peaks continues.
Shouting over static, episode 16. Fat Peaks continues. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Video Game Show and Tell project. That's right, the. It's not a, it's the. There's no one else like us. Do you know that? Could be a lie. Also, I've not really checked.
Yeah. If we just assert it enough, then it'll have to be true.
Yeah.
That's how
What's
it
true,
works.
Dylan?
Huh?
That was.
It's like a test.
We're so
I'm bad again.
We're so good at intros on this podcast. Oh man! Right.
This is too much pressure.
Fuck all of y'all. I'm Mark. I'm your host. I'm here with Dylan. I'm also here with Jack. I'm also here with Chaw. It's the dream team. We're here on Shouting Over Static, a video game show and tell project. It is episode 16. The point of this show is to talk about a video game and try and make a hot take. Discuss the wonderful world of video games, one video game at a time. Each week, a different person brings a game to the table, the other virtual table. It's important the table's virtual. The other people don't know about it. Until now, when Chaw tells us his game. Chaw, go!
Mate, it's not me.
Sure, Jack. It was so smooth.
So close.
It was so nearly there.
Just let this.
Oh man, I tried so hard to just knock the intro out. It was gonna be perfect. Right, Dylan, what did you say?
I said it's supposed to be Jack.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck! Yeah, it is supposed to be Jack, you're right, we discussed this before. Funny that, I forgot how the alphabet works, and I forgot that J comes before K.
Just before.
Just about.
I mean, as you say just about, before, it's the alphabet. It's binary if it's before or after.
Yeah, I know, but it is just about before, isn't it? It's the letter
literally
before.
The one above, yeah.
The one above.
The one above.
Below?
How do you organise your letters, Chaw? Do you organise them top down, or...?
You sick cunt. Oh no. Oh, guys, we're never going to make it big in the hashtag content scene if we fuck around like this. We're never going to be influencers.
I want free hotel stays.
I saw that this morning.
We can talk about Tide Pods. That'll get us big, right?
Yeah,
Let's
sure. Is that
not
what
be
you're
a
bringing
Tide
to the
Pod.
table this week?
No, I actually want to bring the Xbox controller.
Hashtag callbacks. God fucking damn it, Jack, say your game so we can get away from this nonsense.
Okay. So the game that I'm bringing to the table today, the virtual table, is Army of Two.
Oh!
Ah.
Ooh.
A game that was released on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 all the way back, which seems like an eternity now, 10 years ago, in 2008.
Oh my god, is it
Also-
really that old?
Yeah.
Very recently
It's-
released on the Xbox One, because it is the current Game with Gold.
Which is one of the
Actually.
reasons why I'm bringing it back to the table, because I saw it on Games with Gold. It's one of the backwards compatible games that you can download and play on your Xbox One now, and I downloaded it and I've been playing it, and man, it really reminds me of like how much I feel. I wouldn't say the video game industry misses co-op games, but it certainly is at the moment lacking in true cooperative games. And I mean, you can play Army of Two on your own and have your AI guy follow you around, but you know, I feel like there is certainly a vast gap that has been just cut out of games, and that is the cooperative gaming scene. I mean, you know, we'll get onto it a bit later, talking about how there is obviously a way out that is coming out, so that's bringing back cooperative gameplay. But yeah, I mean, Army of Two was, like I say, it's an action shooter game. Essentially, the gameplay of it is you play as like these two guys, Elliot Salem and Tyson Rios, and the first mission is set before the events of 9/11, and then the second, or like the following missions after the first one are set after 9/11, and you're out in the Middle East working for like a private security company. And yeah, you basically have to go out and, investigate the Middle East and all the goings on that are happening over in that part of the world, and you and your buddy go around and essentially try and save the world.
It's like the most 2008 game that exists, isn't it? Like, so all I remember about Army of Two is how much the two main characters fucking love each other, and how much they are like the most ultimate bros, and are just constantly like fist bumping and talking about how much they love each other's cool masks, and I just remember being so silly. Yeah,
I mean, it was a pretty, like, straight from the offset, you can see that, these two guys have been working together for so long. And then, throughout their trials and tribulations, I think there's about 8 or 9 different missions that you can do as these two guys. And yeah, there is a bit of, we were talking about it last week with Sunset Overdrive and the corny sort of comedy that aspect to it. There is sort of, that I wouldn't say it's as bad, but it's like they have that interaction, like it was just two regular dudes who are out on missions, and then they'll joke around about how like when you have to try and lift up your other partner up a little ledge, and one guy's just like, oh man, you could do with losing some weight, blah blah blah, and all of this sort of like just underhand comedy between them, which it sort of, I wouldn't say you get really connected to the characters, but it sort of does really play on the fact that you can understand that these guys have been through a lot together. And yeah, I think it's a really good game, and like I said, it's something that I feel like the video game industry is missing out on, is a good co-op game. And I remember sitting down playing this with my brother, and it was actually a really, really great game at the time to be playing with, and you get really into it. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have played it, I don't know how much experience you guys have with it, but I certainly feel like it's a pretty, for what it was at the time, I think it was a pretty decent game.
Yeah, so I've seen it, and I've seen a lot of stuff about it, but I've never played it, and I was going to download it this morning, but just didn't yet. Because it seems like it's one of those games I know about, and I've seen quite a bit about, just because I think it was actually quite, I don't know how successful it was, but it was definitely advertised quite a bit, and I saw it around a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those games that still actually occasionally gets talked about, which is a good thing, I guess, for it. It definitely must have something to it. And I guess, like you were saying about it builds your relationship with the characters, it's that sort of thing, I guess, isn't it? If you feel like you have a connection to a character, I think a game is more likely to stick in your mind. So
yeah,
it must be, at least it's definitely a testament to that. And I agree with the co-op point. There's not really anything like that anymore, is there? Obviously, there's lots of co-op games, but they're all online, and it's playing shooters. Other than like Rocket League, I guess.
But yeah,
well,
no, I mean,
there's lots of other stuff too. But
it's like for what it was at the time, it was like, I wouldn't say it was like the best cooperative game out there, because there obviously are going to be a lot better ones, and there have been since then as well. But I think for what it was, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like you were saying, Mark, the whole thing about it is as well, like the weapon customization and just the arm, like your gear and stuff that you could have, was just completely insane in my mind. You could buy.
Had that in it?
They had weapon customization in it, quite a bit of
cool.
it. They had so your guys would wear masks when you're out in the field, and you have like proper like juggernaut. I wouldn't say juggernaut. They're not like full on juggernaut suits, but you can get like proper padding and like all of these bulletproof vests and everything in your gear. But the one key thing was each character had a mask. And as you go throughout the game, you earn money, and then you can go to the store and buy masks and upgrade your weapons and stuff. And it has some pretty cool looking masks in that game.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of the marketing being about like, oh, look how cool masks you can wear. Yeah, it's a silly game, isn't it?
It is. And the one thing that I liked, like the customization of the guns was, like, it was awesome. Like, so you have like your SMGs and your LMGs and your assault rifles, whatever, but when you, like I say, once you complete a mission, you get X amount of dollars that you can then spend to upgrade your weapons and make it look cool, and you can get like different stocks for your guns, which will, obviously increase your accuracy and your hip fire and blah blah blah. But you can also, one of the options that was like sort of really bizarre was right down at the bottom of the weapon customization menu was just pimp, and you could go into that option and you could basically just turn your gun gold. You just have a gold-plated gun, which I think was just like, it's just like a stupid thing. Like, it doesn't have any effect on the way that your gun handles or whatever. It's just, do you want to have a pimped gun? Yeah,
Yes.
okay, why not?
Yes.
Always.
Like,
The answer to that question.
Whenever it is the answer, no. But I mean, it was for what it was, and like I said, I've been saying this, for what it was as a co-op game, I think it was fantastic. Dylan, I would thoroughly recommend going and downloading it on the Games for Gold and just playing through it.
Sure.
It is a really, really good game. And like I said, I mean, it was strictly marketed as a co-op game, it was targeted that you could sit down with someone in the same room and play it. But I mean, if you don't, you can always, you have your AI character. I mean, from what I remember, I haven't yet seen it, since downloading it on my Xbox and playing through it. But from what I remember on like the old Xbox 360 version, the AI got pretty dumb. That was you'd run away somewhere and you'd be going towards your objective, and then the AI guy's just stuck at a ledge because he's just stuck somewhere, and you're like, well, come on, mate, like seriously, it's a door, walk through it. And I haven't encountered that as of yet playing through it, so they might have edited it a bit and sort of, I wouldn't it's not a remaster, but it's certainly a really good game. And if anyone's looking for a co-op game to play that is somewhat of a rarity nowadays, then I'd thoroughly recommend it.
Yeah, I think there was a time back then when people were just churning out cover-based third-person shooters that you played in co-op that were about two dudes going and killing lots of other dudes. Army of Two is a sterling example of that, and they made sequels to Army of Two. Army of Two is a franchise, somehow, and because also it was Kane and Lynch, came out around that same time, same kind of thing, but tried to do a slightly more criminal thing with itself. And then obviously before that, the reason that I think these games became so popular for that chunk of time in the late 2000s was Gears of War, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that had a big aspect of playing it with people, didn't it? I guess it doesn't seem much like it nowadays. The recent ones that come out, you probably can, but it doesn't feel like they've got this big thing to it. But
yeah, I think the most recent one has continued the Gears of War 3 thing. I think you can play 4-player co-op through it, not on a same sofa, but
no.
I think it's even up to 4 players going through it, because all the marketing was Marcus Phoenix's son and that girl, and then their 2 idiot mates going and getting into hijinks. I think I might have just totally made that up. To be fair, that wouldn't be.
No, I think that I remember that all being in the advertising, but I guess when you see all the stuff for it, even if they are playing multiplayer, it never seems like they're pushing this co-op thing. It just seems like they're pushing the game, which is fair enough. But I guess back when it originally came out, it was very much Gears of War was something you played with other people. I'd never, my brother and dad always used to play it, and then when I was old enough to play it with them, I'd play with my brother or my dad or whatever. It wasn't really ever a game we played solo, because it's just a really fun co-op game,
Yeah.
Yeah, totally right. I think that's.
Don't really have that anymore.
So you just said, Jack, that you thoroughly recommend it. Have you played it? So this recent release, have you played it with somebody? Have you been playing it with your brother or something?
I've not been playing the one that's been come out on Games for Gold with my brother, because he's currently at the moment at work. But I mean, it's certainly something that I would probably suggest sitting down and doing. I mean, I remember getting into serious hijinks in that game, because you could essentially just really piss off your partner, the guy that was playing, because there are points where you have to, like, I don't know, hold open a door for your mate, or pull someone up to the ledge. And you both have to be in the same position, and you both have to press a button at the same time to do that. So I remember just like running away and really annoying my brother by doing that. But yeah, it's certainly something like it's weird because it's becoming more and more of a rarity nowadays that we can sit down and play. Like, playing video games was, it was sort of meant to be that thing. Like Nintendo do it quite a lot, where they're trying to encourage, bringing people to play together in like the same room and not online. And it certainly was back in, like, like you say, like in that sort of late 2000s period. Okay, you could still play online, but there was certainly more attention to, trying to get people in the same room and have a good gaming session together.
Yeah.
But now it's sort of really like a lot of video game companies are just, I wouldn't say neglecting it, but they're not giving it as much attention as perhaps it should be getting.
Yeah, lots of games nowadays focus a lot on the big brand single-player story games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think even if they do have this co-op element to it, nobody seems to care. Like, you can play it co-op, but I mean, that maybe not even with newer games, because I can't, other than like Way Out, I can't really think of many games that have a big co-op single player campaign. Obviously, there's like Call of Duty you can play split screen multiplayer, right? And lots of games have this online multiplayer, but online multiplayer is different to co-op, isn't it? Well, it's not technically, but I mean, you think of different things when you think of multiplayer or you think of co-op, even though they mean the same thing, kind of.
Is Borderlands couch co-op, or is it online?
I don't think so. I don't think it's couch co-op. I think you can go into online games with people, but I don't. Yeah, from what I remember, I don't think it is sit down and play like split screen.
That re-release was, though, wasn't it? That Handsome Collection was local.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
split screen, wasn't it? They did split screen on that. Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah, I mean that like, so it sort of leads on to, like, obviously you guys have been, like you mentioned it earlier, like a Way Out. It's going to be one of those. I don't know how well it's going to be received. Obviously, it's doing something that, like we say, not a lot of gaming companies are doing it, which is creating a innovative co-op experience. I mean, obviously, like I say, I imagine you can play it online, but when you're doing that and when all of your decisions matter in that sort of scenario, why would you want to play it online? Like, it's very much being designed as
It's about being there with the person, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about that shared experience.
Yeah, it is a whole different experience than just sitting down playing like Call of Duty online with random other people. It is certainly a much more fulfilling experience having that sort of person sat next to you, and having both of you really engaged with the plot and the storyline it really does, like, yeah, that for me, that is something that I feel video games need to, I wouldn't say completely go back to, but they certainly need to pay more attention and perhaps, better cater for people who perhaps don't have online. Okay, so it's very much like, it's very easy to access online facilities now. You can just pay your subscription for PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, and you get it for your year, and it's very easy to access online. But there's a lot of people who don't really like playing online games. And I wouldn't say that they feel neglected, but it's certainly something that I feel like a lot of games companies need to pay a bit more attention to.
I think a good sort of example, even if it's not the same sort of people, but I mean, us guys I don't think I've really ever played online games with you. I know Mark and I, we played Risk of Rain together, but that was a hodgepodge online thing.
You have to hack that together, really. That was pretty hard.
Yeah, like, the online didn't work great. So it was still more of just a co-op game we were playing together. And, like, we've played games together in the same room a lot. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
Less so now, obviously, but I mean, I can't really think of any time where we all thought, all right, let's get on Call of Duty and go around as a group. Partly because we've got different consoles, but like we've all got a PC.
Yeah.
We don't really do that much. Even when we played Left 4 Dead,
We should.
didn't play it online. We
Nah.
didn't technically play it online, but we all went to the same place.
Yeah.
I mean, we should. That's a whole different question for not this podcast. But we should play more Left 4 Dead. I
We
think
should, yeah.
I wonder, because I think what you were saying, Jack, about like you should give it a go for Army of Two, and I think like is my experience with a lot of cooperative games, especially that kind of local like couch co-op as they call it. Like good games become great, and average games kind of become good through shared experience, right? So like Gears of War is a really fun, it's like enjoyable video game. I say fun is an interesting term because it's grim as fuck, but it's a good game, right? And then you play it with other people, and there's you at that camaraderie improves that experience like noticeably. And then like it's the same with things like, but then I wonder, because my memory of Army of Two is that it's not like it's perfectly serviceable, but it's very much like a B game almost, right? Like it's not top tier like AAA. So I wonder, like, does it hold up as a single player experience? Like you were saying, there's some issue with your partner AI being a bit dumb.
Yeah.
So I wonder are these games that are tuned for cooperative experiences? Is it possible to tune them too far and they start to lose virtue in a single player scenario?
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. There is that sense of, you know, if you play it on your own, it does sort of, I wouldn't say not lacking in like anything in terms of like the storyline or the plot, but in terms of that experience that you have by playing it with someone sat next to you, it certainly does feel a bit like lost if it is just you on your own playing with AI. I strictly don't think like it came to market, and I don't think its main selling point was, oh yeah, you can play and sit down and this is couch, or this is a couch co-op game that you have to play with someone next to you. It strictly didn't come out and say that. It came out being, follow these two guys, and this is like just a story between these two guys and the connection that they share for the events before and after 9/11, and how they go about trying to rectify the people who the organization are holding responsible for the 9/11 attacks.
Jesus.
But yeah, I mean, it's a
follow the story of these two men as they solve 9/11 and they love each other and gold guns.
It's certainly an experience that I would recommend. You can enjoy it on your own, but like you say, it is a lot more enjoyable if you have someone sat next to you playing it, because it can feel a bit awkward at times playing it as a single player.
I guess even it might just feel awkward because you realise you're sat there alone playing a co-op game, right?
Aww.
I get that sometimes with playing it. You're just like, nah, I really wish I had someone to share.
I don't know. I think because what I quite like when it comes to I don't remember the marketing around it, Jack. So I think I just remember two guys fist bumping a lot in it and just thinking it was really silly. we're gonna solve 9/11 and fist bump.
Sounds like the modern day version of Draws and Gates from Titanfall 2. They just fist bump a lot and they're bros.
Oh yeah.
They should make an Army of Two Titanfall crossover remake.
I don't even know what you just said. I believe they are both EA franchises, are they not?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
They could do it. Oh.
Jesus Christ, Dylan.
I'm all about traversal.
Oh, goddamn.
So
I mean, like, they made 2 sequels to it.
They did.
Really?
They had 40th Day and Devil's Cartel, and Devil's Cartel was released on 2013, I think it was. In 2013.
Yeah, 2013.
So it was still in production I say
Yeah.
production. It was still like it was from 2008 to 2013, and they had their thing. They released the 40th day one in like 2009. I'd like to say. I think it was like a year or two after the initial release. So they made
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Army of 2-4. Army of 4, and you play as 4 people.
Ugh.
Not at once.
That would definitely get tricky.
You have to like help one guy up onto someone's shoulders, and then someone up onto his shoulders, and then someone up onto his shoulders to reach a really high ledge, like you're a circus performer.
Like in Mario, when you have to like jump on all of the Goombas.
Oh mate, I love a hot Goomba stack.
Spoilers.
Hot Goomba stacks. That is what Army of Two needs. They need a mode where just like you give each other piggybacks.
You know, there's a really strange co-op experience. I think I've probably spoken about this before. Maybe I've definitely spoken about the game. But you know, Trackmania. I know I bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's got a co-op in it. It's completely fucking insane.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
Oh
Because
yeah.
It's you both control the same car.
What?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it just kind of like, I don't know, averages out your controls. So
Yeah.
I think that if you control it together, so you can sort of see where each player's turning and stuff like that. If you get it the same, the more in tune with each other you are, I think the better it all goes, obviously. But it does kind of mean you can correct for someone else's shittiness or whatever. But it is surprisingly fun to play, and actually not as hard as you'd think. Like, I don't think it has, I think, maybe more of a weighting to where the more reasonable person. So if there's a right turn, and one person turns right and the other person turns left, it'll fuck it up. You won't make the turn. But I think it'll still try to turn a bit more right. It works pretty well. But that's just, we need more shit like that.
Yeah, that Trackmania mode is fucking crazy. Like, I love that shit. That's so
really
good.
Cool.
Yeah, dude.
And it's good for when someone doesn't know how to play a game. Because it's a good way to learn how to play the game.
Yeah, because it's like a sort of like you can be guided, you know, like you as you
Yeah.
said, if you're not hitting those corners perfectly, or like someone else who might be a bit better can help guide you through that, and you can still get the satisfaction of like smashing through a wicked Trackmania track without all of the horrible drama that is smashing through a wicked Trackmania track.
It is traumatic.
I don't know, like I think so. With your point, Jack, about how like these sort of experiences come back, I think you're completely correct. I think it's games, but I think the interesting part is, at some point, I think developers realised that a purely cooperative experience, or an experience that was so blatantly tuned for co-op, they have a limited market. They don't sell as much. The appeal isn't there, right? So like, you don't like. I can't imagine Army of Two sold as that a huge amount. I can't imagine it took the world by storm. Probably did quite well, because I remember it was marketed. It's an EA game, right? Like they market their games quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine it took the world by storm, and I can't imagine it continued to with its sequels, because it was this purely cooperative game. But I think the kind of co-op experiences that I'm really into are things like the co-op in Halo, where it's a single-player game. It plays as a single-player game. It works perfectly as that. It does all the things that a single-player game is to do, and it's got multiplayer and other stuff. But then also, you can play that single-player again with someone else, and it adds like, I have played through Halo 1. I played through the Halo campaigns by myself once, and it was fun. I don't see myself doing it again. However, I see myself playing through those games cooperatively again and again and again, as I have done with all of them, because as a cooperative experience, as you said, Jack, like, it's doing something with other people and it adds that weight to it. But I guess that's the part of me saying I like it when I guess a game has to stand on its own merits, is basically what I'm getting at. And but I think those experiences are really good. I don't know. I think I'm labouring the point a bit, but I'm into those kind of things where it doesn't need to be cooperative. Like, you don't feel like if you're playing it, like it's not like Resident Evil 5, where if you feel like you're playing it if you're playing it by yourself, you've got this person following you around who's just like a fucking healing item monkey and just doesn't do anything useful, and it's just you just feel hamstringed by it. I want it to be like Halo, where cooperative is just like an extra layer on top of it, where you feel just when it's like it makes a different experience that's like fun and enjoyable. Do you know what I mean?
Although, ironically, the latest one, Halo 5, the campaign in that has got weirdly more geared towards co-op, but they've taken out split screen. So you've got these annoying characters following you around the entire time. You've got your squad, who are kind of shit, and you don't die straight away a lot of the time. You can be revived.
I won't ever talk about Buck like that.
So, Buck's great, but not AI Buck.
Yeah, true say.
So, like, they'll come and revive you and just all die because they don't kill things first. Like, the AI is a bit fucked. But also, you can't play that with someone in your room. You have to do it online, which makes those kind of experiences, I think, a little bit harder. It doesn't necessarily take away, but that is the kind of game that, like Army of Two, would be perfect to have someone playing with you. And like how Halo is perfect to have someone playing with you, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And it does, like you were saying about Resident Evil 5, it takes away from the single player of it because you've got these annoying fucking followers, but not only one, you've got 3 of them.
And they all suck. It's like, I don't know, like one of my favourite cooperative experiences I've ever had is playing Diablo 3 on a sofa, 4-player, 4 guys in a room. And that is a game. I play Diablo 3 a lot by myself because it's a good podcast game. It's a good, like, I've got like some fucking telly to watch or something. I'll whack Diablo on and watch some telly, and it's quite relaxing. You can just get some loot and grind out. But also, but playing it by yourself, you don't feel hamstrung in any way. That's a 100% valid way of playing Diablo.
Yeah.
And then when you add other people, just like with Halo, when you add other people to the mix, it takes on this whole other layer of like experience to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think a lot of the fun to be had playing Diablo 3 co-op isn't necessarily even Diablo.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, it's one of those perfect games for playing while you watch TV or while, like, you just have something else on that you're doing. Because it's just grinding out this thing. I don't think it's necessarily even the fact that Diablo is a good multiplayer game. It's the fact that it's a good, just thing to do while you chat shit.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Catalyst. It's a good catalyst for having a fun time doing other stuff. Weirdly.
Yeah,
it is also a great fun game, but I think a lot of the fun to be had with it is just fucking around, isn't it?
Yeah, and like when the banter gets weak, you pick up a good set of loot, and you get that like little dopamine hit because you've got yourself some sweet new shoes or whatever the fuck, and you move on. Like, yeah, I think I don't know. I didn't mean to detract from your point, Jack. 'Cause I definitely think there is more room for the kind of co-op games Army of Two is trying to be, and I think that's really fun, and I like those kind of shooters. But like in my gut, I've got this really soft spot for games where you play it, and then if you want to play it with someone else, it just adds something, as opposed to if you want to play it by yourself, it subtracts something.
Yeah, I completely agree. I 100% agree with you. I feel like there's sort of a reluctancy from major games developers to, make a co-op game nowadays, because if it goes wrong, then, everyone will remember it as being like a really awful game, and, co-op games are just the worst, blah, blah, blah. But it's, I feel like having an enjoyable experience and then being able to share that experience with someone sitting next to you is, it just adds more to the game. It adds a lot more, it just adds so much more to playing video games when you can share that experience, which on your own, it's brilliant, but bringing someone else and it enhances it, and they also get to enjoy the experience that you are enjoying. It's just, it's good for everyone there.
I think that's a really interesting point as well you made, Jack, which is this idea that like you think developers are scared to
Yeah.
make these games because it could go wrong, and like, yeah, it could, because for every Gears of War or Left 4 Dead you make, which is a huge hit and people love it, and it is something where it's good, and then you add other people to it, and it's additive, it's better. There are things like, I mean, I got into some co-op games with Jamie for a while, and like we tried doing Kane and Lynch, and like Kane and Lynch is not a good game, and like even with two people, it was tolerable. I tried playing it by myself, and it was frankly intolerable. And it's like, yeah, it needs to be that a good co-op game needs to be solo is good, multiplayer better, as opposed to multiplayer good, solo actually kind of worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
And it's so easy to fuck it up, right?
Yeah. I think games could go the way... have you guys played Portal 2 co-op?
I've never played the co-op.
Oh no, I've never got the chance to. I really would love to, but I've never got the chance.
It's good. It's so it's just a completely separate thing from the main story, and Valve has done a great job with the co-op. It's a lot of fun. I think you can do couch co-op as well on it now.
On the PC?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's cool.
I've seen some things on the internet about it. But yeah, so you should really craft a single-player game that's worthy of playing just by yourself, and then you can add some co-op elements to it, right? That's probably what we all agree on, more or less.
Yeah, definitely.
I like. I'm just enjoying what people are saying. I like what you said there as well, Short, about like Portal 2, and that's a co-op experience, but you've got the single player, and the co-op is a whole different thing. And that, like, we've mentioned like the Spec Ops mode from Modern Warfare before, and how Spec Ops is great, and that is a siloed off co-op thing. And I know, like, the one that immediately jumps to my mind, and this is a rogue fucking shout, but the third person James Bond game on the PlayStation 2, James Bond Everything or Nothing, had the full single player, huge campaign, and then if you wanted to play multiplayer, it was a like 2-person co-op, like a completely different series of missions where you played as 2 completely different characters, and you just used that engine and like some of the gadget systems they'd made to just like work through some levels and shoot some dudes. And it was really difficult, but I remember playing quite a lot of that with other people because it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's yeah, I just think that's really cool when developers make the multiplayer, the co-op bit, something else that's equally valid, but it's not necessarily them saying, oh, well, now you're going to do the campaign with an extra person, or there's always an extra person with you in the campaign, and when you play it again...
Yeah, which I think it's like interesting as well, because A Way Out is being specifically designed as a co-op game. Like, you can play it online co-op, or you can play it split-screen co-op, but it's not, like, from what I understand, it's not got any... Like, you can't sit down and play the game on your own.
Really?
So, I don't think so. Yeah. I think it is just specifically designed to be played between 2 people, which I feel like, again, it's bold from EA to sort of go down that route and be like, look, yeah, okay, we'll support you doing this, and, you know, it's going to be solo cooperative, so you can't sit down and play it as a single player, which I think, you know, it's sort of... it will be interesting to see how well it does and how well received it is and how many people actually sit down and play it as a split-screen co-op game. Because there will be, I imagine, quite a few people playing it as an online game, which I don't feel like would be the same experience as having someone sat there. Even though it's the same game, having someone sat there with you, I thought, well, that's the way that this game is specifically being designed to be played.
Yeah, I think to add to that as well, your point, Jack, is that with The Way Out, the developers are allowing you to play online with just one copy of the game, so the second player doesn't have to buy the game. It's really
cool. So you could just like get on your friends list and be like, yo, I got this copy of A Way Out, join my party, let's go.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That's cool. That is really leaning into like the couch co-op Like, even if they're not on the sofa with you, you still only need one copy of the game. Like, that's almost like kind of a clever marketing kick in its own weird way. Like, that's wicked.
It's like what the Nintendo DS did, isn't it? You didn't need the copy of the game. As long as one person had it, everybody could play fucking Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And Tetris. Mate, Battle Tetris, what's up?
Metroid Prime had a online fighting thing if you didn't have the game as well. That was actually quite fun.
Yeah.
The DS was good.
Yeah, dude, DS was
Hot
fucking
take.
cool. It stands for dual screen. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Mark, you fuckhead. Yeah. Shit, man. I think the hot take of the day. Co-op games were pretty good. Also, the DS was pretty good.
We come out with some good ones sometimes.
I don't know. Like, does it for fear of deviating us away from Army of Two somewhat, but I suspect that Army of Two will not be the answer to this question. Like, does anyone have like a real standout favourite top tier co-op experience they had playing a video game? And like the Army of Two style co-op, not like fucking sitting around on a couch fucking about in whatever local multiplayer nonsense. Like,
Matt, your friends.
yeah, like a proper sitting down with another person playing through like a quote unquote proper video game.
I think so. One of the games that I used to play quite a bit on, I think it was on the GameCube, was King Arthur. There was a King Arthur game on the GameCube, I believe. I think it was the GameCube. And I sat down and played that when I shared my room with my brother. I used to sit down and play that quite a bit, and we'd sit down and play it on my little 12-inch like box TV.
Nice.
And get really into it. And yeah, like I think like because it was, you could play it on your own, but like again, it was one of those games where if you add someone else into the mix, it makes it a far better experience for everyone, because you can go around and you're obviously like walking around as like two people in the middle of a forest and trying to kill people, and then okay, so your characters would have different abilities. So my character might not have been able to get to a certain area, but my brother's character would have been able to do that because he's selected the different character. And they introducing stuff like that where it's like, okay, so you can do it and you can have a single player experience, but then also if you've got a second player, you can get to areas where you might not otherwise be able to get to if you're just playing it on your own.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff is, I think, really unique about like some co-op games. I mean, like I say, the King Arthur game on the GameCube was probably the only one, but that's going back quite some time. I don't think there's been any like recent games that have really sort of been in that same.
Is this the King Arthur game based on the 2004 King Arthur movie starring Clive Owen and Keira Knightley?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
it was GameCube time.
that is a fucking okay, cool, right? What a pull there! Shit, dude.
But yeah, like I said, I don't think there's like any modern game that has done it. Like I can't think of like anything that I've played recently, like in like apart from Army of Two, but like anything like the last 5 years. I'm trying to think.
I only ever had like past 5 years. I don't think really there has been any. But I guess we've all been in uni that time, right? You don't ever play through games that much. I did a few times. The only ones I've really had that I can think of. I mean, I've played Halo multiplayer all the way through with lots of people.
Yeah,
I think that's the go-to one. But obviously, that seems like a bit of a cop-out since we've already talked about it, and it's like the obvious one. But one that I do remember, and it almost falls in the realm of just like sitting on the couch and playing through a multiplayer game. Not really a story, but I remember playing Little Big Planet a lot with my friend because I didn't have a PlayStation. But I went around my friend's house and we played that a lot together. And then that was a really good multiplayer experience, co-op experience.
Little Big Planet is sweet.
Yeah. So fun.
I like that you could punch each other when you play it
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put stickers on everyone.
and pull a sad face.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
The King Arthur video game had live action cutscenes. This is insane.
Were they just clips from the movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Brilliant. I bet it's not Clive Owen or Keira Knightley's best bits of work. From the looks of that cast list, it looks like Mads Mikkelsen was in that movie. So I'm going to say it wasn't the best bit of work by anyone involved.
I remember enjoying that film. Maybe it wasn't good, but
I don't think I ever saw it. Yeah, Well, yeah. I don't know, sure, you got a standout competitive experience?
Yeah, actually.
Sweet.
It's not really, I guess it's not really a proper game. It's actually Jackbox. There's a mode in it called, I can't actually remember what it's called. It's the bomb diffuser one. Do you guys know that one?
Oh, what? You mean Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes?
Yeah.
But that's
that
not
one,
in
yeah.
Jackbox. That's just a different game.
Oh, it's Quiplash, I guess, then. I think that's what it is.
No, it's Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is just a game.
No, okay. So it's not that one. In Jackbox, in one of the many mini games they have, there is a mode where you have to work together as a team to basically. So you work in a bomb making company, and then every day you have to make sure that bombs don't explode while you make and test them.
Okay.
You have to work together. It's really good, and you have to cooperate so much because you have your phones and you play on phones, right? With Jackbox, everyone has different instructions on their phones, and you have to basically go through a list and talk to each other about which wires to diffuse or which wires not to cut.
Oh, fuck!
they all have
Yes! I know this game!
Yeah, like you're given sometimes conflicting instructions. So you have to really think about what you're gonna do, or else you all die in the game. It's really cool.
Yeah, what the fuck was that game called?
I don't know.
Because it's not in Jackbox 1 or 3, because they're the ones I've got.
It's just Bomb Corp. In Jackbox Party Pack 2.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that existed. Because that does the Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes thing, but splits it out over many people. Yeah, that's well cool. Did you ever play really similar to that? Wasn't a Jackbox game? Space Team.
No.
So Space Team is the same kind of thing where everyone would have their phones out and you'd have the Space Team app, and you'd get into like a party or like a room or whatever, and you're on a ship, and each phone would have a bunch of buttons or labels or fucking dials or whatever on it, and they'd all be different ones, and you'd all have different ones, and then you'd all get the same instruction. So it'd be like, activate the boosters, and then the person who has the boosters has to activate the boosters, and the instructions and the things you're doing would get more and more complex and more preposterous, and it would be about trying to organise as a team to make sure you're getting everything done within the time limit and pressing all the buttons and stuff. And it's like a similar kind of concept to that Bomb Corp game. It's a really clever idea for a cooperative experience. It's cool. Yeah. It's good silence. It's the best of room noise.
I was going to say something at first, but then I wanted to see how long the silence would go on.
It's the very, very best of room tone here on Shouting Over Static. Was my take about Space Team too hot?
No, I think it was good.
No,
it's
very similar, I think, to the Bomb game.
I think we've established that co-op games are dope.
Yeah,
yeah, bro.
Turns out friends, good thing.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Play with.
Friends are the worst.
Fuck friends. Play co-op games with your enemies. Learn how they think.
And then you can crush them.
If you play StarCraft with your enemies, you'll know how they fight. Pro tip for heads of state.
What?
Play Civ against other heads of state, and then declare war. Because you know how they fight.
Yeah, I guess. Shit.
This is my new plan to become world leader.
Yeah, to play Civilization with all of the other world leaders, and then use the information you gain from that to do what? What's your next step?
Win all the wars.
It's like the underpants domes. It's like steal underpants, question mark, profit. It's like, but what are you going to win all the wars with?
With my knowledge about war.
You and what army, Dylan?
I'll start small and slowly build up more armies. First I'll fight. I'll start a small gang, play Civ against a gang leader, get a bigger gang, slowly take down bigger and bigger gangs via Civ.
So then you take like Belgium.
Yeah, exactly. Start with small, then go on to small countries. Then eventually you can get maybe like Spain. And from Spain, France and Germany, you've got Europe covered. Once you've got a unified European army, that's pretty big. Play some Civ against Donald Trump. I should stop saying I'm going to declare war on America.
This doesn't seem like the most cooperative thing, Dylan.
I could do it with people.
Yeah, with your gang.
Someone else could help take down the world with me.
Dylan, can we be in your gang?
Yeah, I don't know. How good are you at Civ?
I never played it.
I'm all right.
Me neither, so.
I'm pretty good.
I think that's where this starts to fall down. I'm probably quite bad at Civ.
I mean, it's not about beating your enemy at Civ, right? It's just about using it as a tool to see how they think. So even if you lose, then you can be like, well, that's how they're going to defeat me, by taking Alaska with... Okay, no, it does fall apart at some point, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Maybe I'll go with Risk instead. I'm alright at Risk.
What do you mean you're alright at Risk? It's based entirely on dice rolls.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Nice.
I'm good at dice rolls. You've seen me play Pathfinder. My characters never die.
Mate, you roll high. I've seen you out there with your D20 on the streets, starting gang
Fat
fights.
Peaks roll high. It's my album.
Fat Spikes rolls high. Yeah, okay. I would definitely buy that album. Is it a bunch of D&D raps?
Some, not exclusively, but the cover of the album art is a D20 and a gat. Artistically placed. I get someone else to do that.
What, place the D20 in the gat in an artistic fashion?
Yeah, Chor's pretty good at Instagram. He can do that for me.
Yeah, sure.
See? I've already got this down. This is my first step to world domination.
Mate, the path
Successful
is
rap artist.
the path is clear. It's what Kanye's trying to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's working out really well for him.
P. Diddy run things.
What?
Yeah, he's going up the street now. Motherfucker!
Is this how you're gonna start a gang and then take over the world by being street?
And killing bitches. Yeah.
Mate, you can't use that.
Via my D20, motherfucker.
That's a gendered insult. You can't use that. You got to be a polite gang.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, everybody. This is how I get in with the gang, because they're all sexists. I say sexist things, and they're like,
I don't know what else.
He hates women too.
We're going places today.
I don't know what else we have to say about anything now.
My laptop is fucking up. I can't hear anything.
Right, Dylan. What we're saying is that you're talking complete nonsense, and that maybe we've reached the end of the tether.
Maybe.
I think
Potentially.
So okay, here we go. Because it is worth bringing it full circle. So Army of Two is games with gold at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So so you've been playing a bit, have you said, Jack?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you recommend. Obviously, you got games with gold. It's free, so yeah. Why would you even say no? But as a cooperative experience, as something like if it turns out someone just has like an old copy Army of Two knocking around because they picked it up from like in a second-hand shop or something, and they haven't played it. Do you think there's a worthwhile co-op experience there? Do you think
I
do you
would
think
say so.
Pimpin' Guns is where it's at?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say that there's something there. I would probably, because I didn't play the 2 follow-up games to it, so I'd probably recommend going in if you want to get a background of the story. I don't know if the 2 follow-up games actually follow the same dudes.
They do, but they change the voice actors in every single one.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would, like I say, it's something of a rarity nowadays that you do get a good co-op experience. And I mean, obviously the graphics are shoddy at best.
Oh, brutal.
But yeah, in terms of the experience that you get from it and the storyline and the way that you can see these 2 characters and their bond and whatever, and it does make for a very enjoyable experience, especially if you're, like I say, if you're sat down with someone playing it. It is certainly more enjoyable than trying to play it on your own or with anyone else online. I don't know if it had online in it, but yeah, it is certainly one of those games that you will enjoy playing as if you have someone sat down with you and you're really getting into it. It's certainly something that I would recommend that you go out and play. I wouldn't say go out of your way to play it, but yeah, if you've got something, if you just happen to have it and you bought it when it came out, like I did, and it's just laying around, or if you have Xbox Live and you've got it now for Games of Gold, probably recommend sit down and play it with someone, and I reckon you'd have a, if not enjoyable experience, certainly will be an experience. But yeah, I mean, like I said, maybe some people don't like it, but from what I've been playing and from what I remember playing it when it first came out, I found it rather enjoyable.
Sweet.
Cool.
Army of Two. It's a video game. Pimp your guns. Right, so your local member of parliament. Pimp your guns. God damn it.
Gold plating to be public service.
It's actually what all of those cash for gold stores do. They gold plate people's illegal handguns.
But, I mean, that's illegal handguns. I want it to be completely legal and funded by the government. Pimp my guns.
Well, that's another episode title. Let me just type that down in this notepad file I've got going on.
I'm coming out with the hottest episode titles.
Is that
week, last week? Oh,
is that in all caps?
yeah, obviously.
Pimp my guns. Well, I would call that an episode then, gents. I think we've had some amusing discussion there. I don't know.
We've exhausted co-ops.
We did it.
What was our hot take? What was our takeaway? Was it just that co-op games are good? You should play more games with your friends.
And Nintendo DSs.
Oh yeah,
that one too.
I do like a good Nintendo DS.
It's got good co-op games on too. It's all come full circle.
Oh yeah, 2 screens, 2 players. You know what I'm saying?
Jimmy 2 screens.
What? What about if someone comes along with 3 screens?
Oh shit! The DS is dead. Long live Jimmy 3 screens.
Right, we can find all of us on the internet at various different places. Not that anyone's looking anyway. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
As always.
Certainly has been.
Bye.
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 Bye bye.